Hey everybody, welcome to Workforce Gaming. I'm Brad, here with Doug.
Hey.
This is a weird one. Indiana
hmm
Jones and the Staff of Kings was just released
Yeah.
on PlayStation Plus Classics, whatever.
hmm
And this is an Indiana Jones game that I did not know existed. I was very excited because I thought this was the one I played as a kid and then realized it was not. I had no idea this
Yeah.
game existed. And yeah, it just kind of came out of nowhere. So it's a late generation PS2 game.
Yeah.
Kind of feels like one of those things where it's like you had the ambition to put this on PS3, but like we just didn't quite get there.
Yeah, it was funny because like when they announced this game, I had never heard of it, and they're like, "Oh, it's sort of like a reconfigured version of that cool Indiana Jones next gen tech demo stuff." And I was like, "Oh, that one." I do remember because I remember again we've talked about this a few times. Like in the past, they had like tech demos for like new engines or games or whatever, and those were like very popular videos. And like
Yeah,
Indiana Jones was one of them using the Euphoria using when like with Grand Theft Auto 4 I think used it. We're like, oh, when you hit a guy in the stomach he crouches over, and when they do that he do that, and then I guess it just didn't work. And so they're like, let's do the PS2 version and Wii version that kind of just like cuts all that cool stuff out, as was my impression of this one, of what I believe is what happened to this game.
that would not shock me because this game is not good. It is very weird. It definitely has that feeling of like something is missing here. And I played through all of it because Indiana Jones and weird like mid 2000s license games all kinds of great things to me.
hmm
It feels like they had ideas and they didn't know how to implement them. It's
hmm
got some good ideas for like weapon combat and melee combat that you actually see used really, really well in the Great Circle.
hmm
It's not good here. They kind of went
Sure.
with like, okay, if we just do a classic Indiana Jones story, we can kind of work in all this stuff. But they don't really focus on the story at all, and you don't really know what's going on. Well, what if we
hmm
did like these cool big set pieces, like that you would see like in an Indiana Jones movie, like where you're flying a plane or something like that, or you're hanging off a blimp, all that but it's not very fun. And it's just like constantly has this like cool idea, not good. Cool idea, not good. So I feel like you could kind of feel that like tech demo-iness of it, like you're talking about,
Yeah.
if that is the case with this, where it's like, look at this big picture thing we think we could do. Oh wait, we can't do that on a PS2.
Does it feel just not done, or is it like, no, this is like definitely a very completed product, that, or like, you get what I mean? Like there's some games that feel like, oh, this game is just like not finished, versus a game that's like, no, this is the done thing, it's just not very good.
It's done. There
Okay.
wasn't anything where I'm like, oh, this was we give you another 3 weeks on this and it would have been good or whatever. It was just kind of
Sure.
like, ugh. So yeah, to start with, the Staff of Kings
Yeah.
is Moses' staff, which you're
Oh,
going to
funny.
get. So that is the quest here. Now, it barely even mentions that that's what this is or that's what you want until about halfway through this 4 hour game. Originally, it's just Indiana Jones, and he's like, oh yeah, I've got to get the Jade Sphere. I don't know what it is. I don't know why he wants it, but he needs it.
Mhm.
And then it literally feels like it's just we want to go and have Indiana Jones in San Francisco. Okay.
Mhm.
Then we need him to go to like a snowy mountain
Sure.
and we need him in the jungle. And there's no real connection between any of these places or anything. There are characters that are just in and out. The bad guy just shows up at one point. He's like, "Oh yeah, you." The guy talks with a thick German accent, and you're
Of
like,
course,
"You're
yeah.
that you're that German archaeologist." And then that is the entire introduction and backstory of the villain. You have like a companion person who literally just like comes in and out, and it's just like, "Oh hey, blah blah blah. Nice to see you again." Like you're supposed to know who this character is,
Are
and
they
it's
from the
just like,
movie? Like, do you know who they are? Or are they just like,
if
like a
they're
character
from
for
the
this game?
movie, they were not modeled after a character in the movie, voiced by a person in the movie. Maybe they had a name of a minor character in the movie that I don't
Sure.
remember, but to my knowledge, no connection to the movies at all. It's just,
hmm
it is the weirdest thing of just, we had an idea for Indiana Jones and here you go. I don't know what else to
Yeah.
do with it, but it's here. The one thing they do get right, and again, that this kind of goes with like what the Great Circle did, is they try and make it not just a like run and gun and Indiana Jones shooting people
hmm
down, but then it very hard turns into that in like 5 or 6 spots.
Oh,
So you'll
funny.
like
Yeah.
go through and you'll be like, okay, I'm just kind of exploring this tomb. There's no combat. There's no Nazis here. We're just wandering through. We're finding doing our push the box puzzles. We're doing those things that would be in a mid 2000s PS2 game, and then out of nowhere there'll be 20 Nazis, and you got to beat them up. So the majority of combat is melee, where you're hitting just one button to punch, and a dodge that is the slowest, weirdest dodge I've ever felt in my life. It's literally like you hit it, he ducks, holds it for like 2 seconds, and then pops back up. And if an enemy swings on you in any of those 2 seconds, it does like the enemy wobble back thing, and then you can uppercut him.
Funny.
Feels so weird because it's so like, it feels very much like, it's like, hang on, I'm going to sit down really quick. And then he ducks, and the guy's like, no, you're not. And tries to swing at him, and then he pops up. It's so weird. God.
That's so funny. That feels like something that was like supposed to be something cool. To like, we can just make this work. Just make it work. Just get this thing out the door.
Yeah. But then you can pick up chairs and throw them and use the parts of the chairs because the chairs break, and then you can pick up a chair. So again, it's got some of that like, okay, maybe if we push this to a PS3, there might have been something here.
So this is this is like before Uncharted though, so it's not like a cover based. It's like, so what game is this aping off of? Is it like kind of like a Tomb Raider-y kind of game then, or is it its own thing? Or what?
It feels very much like its own thing because you went to cover shooter, and this is also a cover shooter.
Oh, really? Okay.
In a very odd way. So what happens is when you get to, so these are just enemies who don't have guns. You run around and punch them. As soon as you see an enemy with a gun, it jumps to like a quick cutscene of you running to jump behind thing, and then it's literally like a shooting gallery of Indiana Jones stuck behind a box where you move the reticle on the screen towards the other people.
Is this like, that sounds like, what's that game? What's that Star Wars game we just played? Star Wars Rebel Assault 2 or whatever. That sounds very similar.
Yes, very much like that, where it's like, and whoop, he's behind the box. Okay, boo, boo, boo. And if you get those 3 guys, then he'll like put the reticle down and he'll run to the next box, duck behind it, reticle pops back up again. You have no control of the movement in here. Occasionally you get one where you can like strafe left and right behind like 3 boxes, but it's so weird. It is the weirdest game I've played in a long time. It feels like something that just totally encapsulates the idea of like a licensed game from the mid 2000s of here's some ideas with a character you like. It's not really strung together very well. It makes no sense most of the time. But you're playing as Indiana Jones, and sometimes he shoots some guys, and sometimes he hits some guys, and sometimes he moves a box to a switch. What more do you want, guys?
Is it like weird enough that just kind of feels like an interesting game to play because it's just like such an anomaly? Because like sometimes it is fun to play like an old game where just a lot of like it's doing like all these kind of like interesting ideas that just don't work in interesting ways. Like, does it feel like that kind of thing, or is it just like there's other stuff out there that's very similar to this that's just much better?
It worked for me in that way, and I think that's why I made it through it. It's also maybe 4 hours long, maybe probably closer to 3. But yeah, that's what did it for me. It's just like, what on earth are we doing here? Like, what's going on? I don't understand these characters. I don't understand this plot. It's kind of goofy. It's weirdly almost gets the tone of Indiana Jones, and I think especially after playing Great Circle just like a month ago. Yeah, it's so weird to be like, this was like the last Indiana Jones game before that. Look how far we've come, guys. And yeah, that's what did it for me. It was just this weirdness of it. And I think if you, I think like us grew up in that like 98 to 2008 window where it's just like, here, you want Spider-Man? Here's a Spider-Man game. I don't know what it is. Here's Star Wars. Go for it. It very much is like, ooh, I remember renting so many of these and having a bad weekend. Like, why did I pick this one? And it brought me back there.
Yeah. That's cool. No, I always do like these kind of games. It is sometimes good to get like a smell check on like old games because like sometimes people are like, well, old games are so much better. It's like, yeah, if you like look at the 1% of games that people still talk about, but like, go play Indiana Jones: The Staff of Kings. Like, this is what a lot of the games we played like were like as kids, or Monsters Inc. on PS1, or like whatever else. Like those are the games that we were playing most of the time. We were
We weren't all sitting here on the top 10 PS2 games of 2002 to 2005. Like, that was not what we were playing. We were playing this junk, and it's fun to go back and remember this junk every now and then because it's not the type of stuff that you normally go back to. Yeah. But hey, it's free on PS Plus. So, you're not out anything. Not even out a weekend at Blockbuster. We are Workforce Gaming. Subscribe to our channel. Leave a comment below. There's a link to support us on Coffee as well. We'll see you later.
Bye.